Lift off. We're back, baby. Welcome to another episode of Sports Gambling with Moneyline Monaco. It's Friday, October 18th. How we doing? Off if I don't say so myself, sensational cap of a Broncos shellacking. I was watching a Mets in-person Grimace catastrophe at City last night. So I did not watch our winning bet, and I saw the under get cooked, which was trending towards the under all night. I gave you a couple of props and ended up checking out. That was a fantastic spot for the Denver Broncos, -2.5. Cashed with ease. Hope you tailed. Please subscribe, rate, review if you are cashing with me. Winning weekends. 3 of the last 4. One dud in there. Other than that, we're on an 8-1-1 streak. Little week 3, week 4, week 5, little downturn. Week 6, above sea level, 3-2 against the spread. If Greg Zerloin could kick a field goal, we would have been 4-1. Just exit stage right, bud. It's over for you. All right. We are going to almost every single matchup being a marquee one in this one. We are going right at the top dogs in this Let's Dance. So many riveting matchups, so many storylines. Let's jump right in. Chiefs, Niners. You didn't come here for Chargers, Cardinals, baby. It's Patty Mahomes and Andy Reid off a bye. It's Shanahan and Purdy off a miniature bye. Both off of wins, of course. We haven't seen the Chiefs since they took care at a really road home game for this Chargers AFC West order of hierarchy. Chargers get off to a 10-0 start. And again, I gave you Chargers +7. It was a sick push. If you got 7.5, you cashed. And they didn't score a basket for 3 quarters. And the Chiefs won the game. And as we segue into Chiefs-Niners, this is what Kansas City does. Kansas City has essentially seen it all under this 1-2 punch of Andy and Pat. And you give Mr. Andy Reid 2 weeks of prep, and you really don't want to go against him. Now, 9 dances, obviously, last decade. He's been a dog. Now, Chiefs +1.5, depending where you shop in this one at San Fran. He's been a dog 4 times, Mr. Reid. 4-0 straight up, 4-0 against the spread. And in his career, this number, 7-2 straight up, 8-1 against the spread. Only Peyton Manning, only Tom Brady, 2013, 2005, respectively. Did he not prevail in this spot? Shout out Action Network and Evan Abrams doing God's work in betting. Throw him a follow, show him some love. But this Niners defense, I have questions about. You got to sit there and actually decompress on a stat with this lights out D that's been under Shanahan for how many years here, plural. When I tell you, they didn't have a 3-and-out in the 4th quarter on defense, this Niners team, until last Thursday against the Seahawks. Not a single 3-and-out for opponents going against this Niners club. A 3-and-out in the 4th quarter. Is that not a cause for concern? We're talking about a Chiefs rush D top 5. Chiefs overall D giving up 17 per top 5. 217 in the air. And we're getting a 1.5. Patty Mahomes. Been in this spot 13 times. Won outright 10 of those. Covered in 11 of those. 11, 1-1 against the spread. Now, I don't want to blow out of proportion a game that's essentially a pick'em. Could come down to that with a 1.5 here and telling you that we're getting all kinds of numbers here. But if we just look at the Chiefs typically play down to their competition a lot more than you would like them to do. But I'll tell you what they do often in spots. They play up to their level. When a team matches them, they play up to their standard, if you want to call it. They play down to their competition, but they rise to the occasion. And this is one of these spots, again, a lot of emotion for this Niners team. None of emotion for the Kansas City Chiefs coming in this one. All the emotion is on the Niners side. This is a pretty This is just a pretty good but not great spot. And then it's Stevie Spags, and you start to get into the coaching weeds here. For me, this is head versus heart. My heart wants to bet the San Francisco 49ers. Mahomes has 123 passer rating with one mistake against this team in the regular season. Last time he went to San Francisco, he put up over 40 points. He put up over 40 points. So I know you get a week and a half to prep for the Chiefs. But my gosh, what have we seen with the Chiefs through the first month and a half of the season? They could beat you in a number of different ways. I'm kind of looking at the Niners defensively, not as sharp as buttoned up as they should be. They're still running the football very well, but the Chiefs are a very good run D. So now you sit there and you say, all right, if each team eliminates what the other does best, and it comes down to maybe one quarter, maybe one drive, one moment, do I want to put my money on Purdy or do I want to put my money on Mahomes? Even if it's the Chiefs D in a spot one stop for the cash, I lean that more than I do Niners D stopping Sir Patrick. The only edge right now I see statistically that the Niners have right now is they're +3 in the turnover differential department. If you listen to the program, you hear me talk about that a lot because that's situational football. What do we see in playoff baseball? Situational hitting. What do we see in certain spots out of timeout in the NBA? Strategic plays called, excuse me. This is a spot that I just don't like either way to put a ton down on, but I will lose money on Mahomes with 2 weeks to prep for a defense that isn't really scaring too many people. I mean, this Niners team has problems through the first month of the half closing games. You should not have lost to the Cardinals. You certainly should have not lost to the Rams. Now, a kicker getting injured, sure. But do you remember, and I'll end on this, when this Super Bowl goes to OT, one coach doesn't know the rules, the other already had a scripted play ready to pull out from August. I mean, Andy might have been in Hawaii with rings plural drawing that up. They're more detailed. They're more fundamentally sound. And Shanahan in this spot, if this is a boxing match, who's more likely to get emotional and maybe be over aggressive, maybe play their hand a little much? Chiefs will let you go ahead and Chargers 10-0 first quarter lead. Get out to whatever you feel you want to get out to think you got them. You never have the Chiefs. Chiefs +1.5 to the window. All right, let's go right into another blockbuster. I'm big on theme. I'm big on narrative. 1.5 point line. It was at 2. I even saw a 2.5. I'll take the 1.5 as we speak on Friday, October 18th. Give me, I'm calling this a high school cafeteria game. This is a seniors versus sophomores, and who is the real alpha in the animal kingdom in the NFC North. And if you sit there and think that the Vikings in a favorite spot are going to beat the Detroit Lions when Danny 2 cups of coffee Campbell gets to tell his locker room, and I know this for fact, they may not know the number, but these dudes know if they're underdogs or they're favorites in matchups on any given Pacino Sunday. They know. And you don't think as a bargaining chip, as a talking point, Campbell's not going to sit there and hammer home that everything they've done to this point, a half of football away from a Super Bowl berth, they are doubted again in a spot against a team that had a preseason win total of, I believe, 6.5? I'm sorry. The biggest kept secret is this Flores defense that everyone wants to sit there and love is a bottom 3 passing defense. We're talking about the Jaguars, the Ravens, and then the Vikings as the 3rd worst passing defense in this league. So if there's a pick'em game on a neutral field, you go strength for strength, weakness for weakness. What do the Vikings do unbelievably well? They're tied for second with 13 NFL takeaways. All right, with a league-leading 11 interceptions. Who's tied for 4th in turnover differential? Who takes excellent care of the football? Who's +6 in this category? The Detroit Lions. Secondarily, all right, Flores, very good with getting schematically quarterbacks to get in spots, very good at getting to the quarterback. I've said this on the program numerous times. I can name one team with 3 offensive linemen off the noggin. Sewell, Decker, Ragnow. It's the Detroit Lions offensive line, 6th best in the league at protecting Goff. Goff's one of these dudes, not crazy athletic. Might have been a few years since a push-up's been done, just like me. I digress. Can sling the rock, playing out of his gourd. We're talking about a Lions offense, 1st in points per game, 3rd in yards per game, 7th in 3rd down conversion, 8th in yards per rush, 1st in yards per pass. And we're the underdog? The Lions have covered 4 of their last 5 as an underdog. The Lions have won 4 of their last 5 on the road against NFC North teams. 4 of the last 5 on the road. They fear no man. They fear no leader. They fear no team. This is a unbelievable thought that we're getting a Lions team that scored 109 points in the last 3 games, second to only the Bucks putting up a 51 burger on the Saints. And we're dogs? We're dogs? Okay, Minnesota has impressed. I get it. I say it all the time in betting. You got to put on the bumper pool, the bumper lanes on the bowling alley, and bob and weave. You can't fall in love with any one team week to week. And I know the Lions are off unbelievable outings. Unbelievable outings. In fact, we hammered them last week. One of my favorite bets, Lions -3 against the Dallas Cowboys. The Lions, just like the Chiefs, are a team that I have been correct on more times than I've been incorrect on by a lot through 6 weeks of football. And I'm telling you, it's a lot easier to make correct decisions week to week when you are right on teams the week before. And I didn't mention that in the Chiefs pick. I've only had one incorrect thought, and it was that Saints 5.5 Monday night. I had one push, and I've had 3 covers. So I sit here looking at this game and say, every strength for strength spot just about that this Vikings team does, the Lions do it as well. And I cannot sit here with the better quarterback, with, yes, I'll say it, the better leader of men. If you think O'Connell's a better leader of men than Campbell, you're out of your gourd. I will argue till the Italian red turns on my face about that one. Give me the Lions. +1.5. I like them to win the game. All right, this one's fascinating. Another marquee matchup. Prime time. Tomlin and the boys going to the bullpen, bringing in Russell high knees. I don't get it. 2 guys with discounts at Sizzler, Soup Plantation, Olive Garden. Pick one, anyone. I love the Jets in this game. I'm looking at line movement. It does seem like a lot of people are falling in love with the Jets. What do you not want to do historically in betting? Fade Mike Tomlin as a home underdog. You don't want to do it. You will be losing money long-term and likely short-term. So I'm looking at a 1.5 point line right now, depending where you shop, moving quite a bit. Again, pre-flop, the Steelers were the favorite at 1.5. This is real line movement now. Devontae Adams is involved in that line movement. Of course, the move to the bullpen, no Fields. We're going with Russ, evident there. But I'm going to speak on the Scuba Steve under of 38.5 here. I mean, the second fewest points per game defense and the 7th fewest points per game defense dancing against each other with a 38.5 total. And I'm going to go over. No chance. I haven't picked an over-under in a couple weeks here, but I've hit 3 straight. Now, I'm more of an unders guy than an overs guy. But Steelers giving up 14.6. One team in a month and a half has cracked 20. And it was Joe Flacco off the couch and the rafters. And, you know, do we want to give him a mulligan? Happy Gilmore too? I don't know. He's only faced the Steelers half his adult life. The point is, I was a terribly trapped spot for Pittsburgh, who was 3-0 headed on the road. This is home prime time. This ain't the same effort. You have a Jets defense who has literally given up 17 or fewer in 4 of the last 6. Let's take it a step further. Last 4 weeks of football, breaking it up by quarters. 10 of the last 16 quarters, the Jets have either given up 3 or trolling at the beer pong table. 0. Look, Steelers, defensively speaking, 13-10, 6-10, excluding the 20 and the 4th and goal L against the Cowboys. And of course, the L I spoke on with the Colts. They don't let you break 17 points. And I just told you this Jets D has been flying around #Jet up. So on the offensive side, the Steelers are averaging 20. The Jets are averaging 18. And on the defensive side, the Steelers are giving up 14.6 and the Jets are giving up 17. I cannot wrap my head around anything over in this game. Pittsburgh just does this. They make a living off of this. This is all they do, quite frankly. Muck it up, make it gross, extend the game, bleed the clock, run the ball. This is all conducive to under. This is flat out all conducive to under. And the Jets, you have this element with obviously Adams, and I love it. And this might be the best 2-4 football team in the NFL, bar none. And if Greg the Leg can get a non-laces out Finkel-Einhorn moment, this team might be 4-2. A lot of pressure, though. A lot of pressure on the Jets to show out in this game. I got a weird feeling about it. Jets to 2-5 is crazy. This game is so crucial on so many levels. My guy Alan Hahn spoke on it on our spot on Lunch Money. Check that out. ESPN New York, Fridays at 2. This is such an important game on so many levels, but it's going to be chess, not checkers. It's going to be such a strategic defensive dance from a Tomlin and Brick perspective. As much as there's decorated players with playmakers on both sides of the football, I got to lean under here, and I don't want to keep repeating myself. 10 of the last 16 Jets quarters, 0 or 3. How you doing? All right, let's go to a fascinating matchup, and I'm begging you to jump on 2.5 before it moves to 3 because I've seen it on the Action Network at 3. I still see it on the FanDuel Sportsbook at 2.5. The Green Bay Packers at home are hosting a Houston Texans team that is on a back-to-back road spot, just giving up 21 points to Drake May with an E. Now, this is a fascinating game, and this is an interesting matchup. I'm just selling high here on the Houston Texans, who are scoring less than 10 points than they're giving up through a month and a half. I think Houston has got away with not 1, not 2, maybe 3 wins on their resume. I'm telling you right now, I've seen this team win and not cover week after week after week. They got away with a Buffalo win. They barely hung on against the Jags win. They won but didn't cover week 1 against the Colts. They got smoked by Minnesota. What week have we really sat here and gone, man, the Texans look unbelievable? We're talking about no Nico Collins, Mixon just getting his legs back under him. And they did look good with the running game and Mixon back in last week. But I'll tell you a big number here that I cannot overlook. The Green Bay Packers are the best team in the NFL at turning the football over. The Green Bay Packers are +9 in turnover differential. And I got this. Shout out Evan Abrams, Action Network again. Last decade, looking forward, there is no more difficult spot on a 2-row. And this is what you do in betting. You look at numbers, you look at spots, you take narratives, you take trends, then you look at the game. There is no more difficult spot on a second leg of a road game than Lambeau Field. Listen to this per Action Network. Teams dancing against the Packers at Lambeau. 7-16-1. 7-16-1, 3-7 in the last 3 football seasons. Here's another one. CJ's danced 4 times against very, very prominent offenses, which at this point, at top 7 in points per game with a top 3 overall yards, Matt LaFleur-led offense, you got to sit here and say this is a top 10 offense unequivocally in the NFL with very fundamentally sound pieces that really play pretty darn good complementary football. But there's been 4 instances where Stroud's gone against teams that score more than 24 points, being the Packers here. The Texans are 1-3 ATS in those 4 games, outscored 101-59. So I take in CJ's last few outings. He's got a pick in 3 of his last 4 games. He's got 4 picks in the last 4 weeks. You think about how well he protected the football last year. It's not calling it a sophomore slump, but 4 picks in the last 4 weeks didn't happen. Did that happen all year last year for CJ? I don't think so. So I'm sitting here going, all right, road to road spot. Again, I was wrong. We had the Patriots +7 as our only outright real spot that we were flat out wrong on last week on the show. Maybe tried to get a little too sharp for sharp in that one. But 21 points, you give up 21 against New England? Not great. Just a box score, maybe. But you look at the whole sample size of the season. This is not an intimidating Texans defense. So to me, I think we get a coaching advantage. I'm going to take LaFleur over D'Amico at this point in their careers. I think we get home field. Huge. You see the scheduling spot. You got Houston winning 3 straight games and not looking great. And a back-to-back road outing at Lambeau? I'm sorry. I love this. The Green Bay Packers -2.5. I've been waiting to fade the Texans. I continue to go against them because I'm watching these games. And again, they move the football. CJ's a dude. Obviously, he's already solidified himself as a top 10 quarterback in the league. But this is almost just about the defense in Houston and how prolific this Green Bay offense is and how fundamentally sound they are. Give me the Packers -2.5. And we wrap. And I don't even understand this. I'm seeing 1.5. You got a few sleeps on this one, but we got another doubleheader on Monday, and I'm going to come back and do a Monday pod, probably all in, sleeves rolled up, Ravens, Bucks. The other one, the corner TV Monday night game, is my former San Diego Chargers, the LA Chargers, headed to Jake from State Farm's place in Arizona, where, oh, by the way, Kyler Murray, one of the worst home records for starting quarterbacks in your NFL. Go take a gander. This is, to me, disciplined football versus undisciplined football. The Arizona Cardinals, when they lose games, they are over by Broadway intermission. They are so underprepared every other week in Arizona. I can't even sit here and know, is Kyler Murray playing Call of Duty in the quarterback's room or is he watching film? I really couldn't tell you. All I know is we're backing the best defense in the NFL. 13.2 points per game, the LA Chargers on the season are giving up. Nobody has cracked 20 points against the khaki, voluntary, tucked-in pants of Jimmy Harbaugh. Nobody has broke 20 points. Not to mention he's 6-0 straight up and 5-1 against the spread in his coaching career on Monday night. Cardinals are a bottom 6 defense giving up 27. We're talking about a Chargers team giving up 2 touchdowns less. They're +7, top 3 in turnover differential. They have a very, very stout defense across the board. And I'm looking at this Arizona team who's gotten blown out by halftime against the Packers, blown out by halftime against the Commanders. And okay, the Chargers have some questions on offense. We're getting a Chargers team here under a field goal, personnel-wise, numbers-wise, and just X's and O's across the board, however you want to spin it. How do you want to back Arizona here? If the whole wide world ends up on the Chargers by Monday, maybe I come back around, throw you a little thought on a different way to bet this game, but I just simply love the Chargers here. I'm perplexed. This is a line I'm fascinated with. How are the Chargers, who didn't give up a point? You realize the Denver Broncos, and again, we were on the Chargers. -3 is one of my favorite bets. 2 weeks of Harbaugh prep, hadn't won in a month, smoked the Broncos. They didn't score till the 4th quarter. The Denver Broncos, who got out the gate, who had 16 points on Thursday night last night by halftime. And I watch everything, baby. I'm at Citi Field, and I still know what's going on. They get 16 points by halftime. They had 16 points in 1 quarter. And it didn't happen till the 4th quarter when the game was out of hand and over. The Chargers are so disciplined. And because they're one of these teams that have just not been disciplined, not been fundamentally sound, Chargers are going to Charger has been a narrative going on over a decade in my life. Nobody sits here and thinks that this team is buttoned up. I'm telling you right now, this team is buttoned up. This team's going to go on a run. Do not forget they went up 10-0 on the Chiefs. If there has been one team and a half of football that has looked better than the Kansas City Chiefs and their opponents, it's this LA Chargers team. I don't get the line. I don't get why you would want to back Arizona. And this, again, is disciplined football versus undisciplined football. Kyler Murray is a playmaker. He can run around and get the ball in the end zone. He can put up points. But when we are top tier with scheme, when we don't turn the ball over, when they run the ball, when they win time of possession, every single thing that the Chargers do well, you can make a case the Cardinals do not do well. So I don't care that this is a Monday night, everyone watching moment. The only other time where maybe I've been completely incorrect in a similar spot with a similar number would maybe be a couple of weeks ago, Rams Cardinals, one of my worst picks all season. But that was, to me, trying to get a little NFC West in the weeds, looking at a spot there where maybe Stafford would show up and show out, but he had two of his top weapons not playing, a banged up offensive line. I mean, did you see the difference in lack of pressure when Alt and Slater were locked in protecting Herbert? I mean, it's beautiful to watch. It's unbelievable. This is Harbaugh football. Might not show up on the stat sheet, but he has a close-knit locker room that's going to win this game. The Chargers are not losing this game. I'm going to take them all the way up to -2.5. I'll still lay the 3 again. And I know it's back-to-back road spots, sure, yada, yada. Kyler Murray's terrible at home. I mean, I didn't want to give it to you, but I'll do it. I mean, his record at home is horrendous. It's hard to even comprehend. He's 12-23-1 at home. Kyler Murray has almost 2 losses for every win at home. Is this even home field advantage? I'm not quite sure. I'm really not quite sure. And if there's one team that's comfortable with no fans supporting them, it's the Los Angeles Chargers. So we wrap the program. Chargers -1.5, -2, up to -2.5. That will probably have some line movement pending when you fire. I love it, though. I'm going to take under 38.5 Jets Steelers. Under 38.5. I lean Jets to win that football game, but I got to give you a winner here. Under. I'm going to take the Detroit Lions +1.5. How you Darnold doing? They're going to win that football game. I'll take the Chiefs +1.5 at San Francisco. They win the football game. And that's a show there. Not to mention a Green Bay Packers -2.5 cover. So we have a couple of favorites, couple of dogs, only really backing one home team. We're off a public 9 road favorites, 1 and covered weekend last week. Theme kept going there with a 10th straight cover with a road favorite, Broncos -2.5, which we were on. We'll see what kind of theme it is this week. I just love these plays. I absolutely do. The only one I think we might get bit on, maybe the Niners come out and smack the Chiefs. The Chiefs are due. I'm just really big on they're more likely to play down to their competition than they are to not play up. And that's it. Subscribe, rate, review goes a long way. Moneyline, Monaco. Again, you can check me out. Better Half Hour, Juice Bar, MSG Networks, all over the place, doing all kinds of hits. Pre-game shows. Knicks are getting going. I'm doing a little bit of Isles, Devils, Rangers as the year unfolds. And of course, Friday afternoons, Lunch Money, ESPN New York, Alan Hahn, Bart Scott, 2:00. Shout out Ray, their producer. Do a great job day in, day out on that program. An honor to join it. We've had 3 of the last 4 winning weekends on there. Kaplan and crew. Shout out my guy, Scott Kaplan, of course, Browner and Padilla. I'm on that show as well, 2:30 Eastern, 11:30 Pacific, every Friday. And then some. We're all over the place, baby. Don't forget to hug your mothers. We will see you next show.